Now the next panel is Hedging, Digitization and Technology. Speaker is Kathir Kamanathan. Kathir Kamanathan is the Chief Executive Officer at Chella Software, a technology management company. They do have products which manages the treasury management services by name Nimbus, and they have done work for clearing corporations, NSCs and all, and also they run a package at overseas. Mr. Kathir is by profession is from IIM Calcutta, a management graduate there, and a broker turned entrepreneur. And I have few questions to ask him about the how digitalization and technology will help us and what they are doing. Kathir, are you able to listen to me? Is Kathir in?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Kathir, am I audible?
Yeah, you are. Hello.
Yeah.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Bajur, and thanks for inviting me to be in this conference. So wonderful set of speakers you've had, all stellar, marquee speakers as usual. So thanks very much for this opportunity.
Thanks, Kathir. To start, without wasting much time, I would like to go into the questions. In the current environment, role of technology in mitigating the impact of working from home, spate of resignations, unprecedented liquidity induced by central bank. How do you connect this market with the digitalization?
See, the work from home has really changed the way corporate treasuries work. Earlier, you could always have paper and somebody gets something done, somebody approves it. You just peep over your cabin, peep over your desk and then talk to somebody. With work from home, all that is not possible. A system through which a workflow can be organized, a proper maker checker, an audit trail. These become important, particularly the ability to communicate with each other in a very seamless way, ability for multiple people to work together on the treasury side, which was earlier not possible with the Excel sheets, right? Each one used to have their own Excel sheets and so on. But now I think the need for technology is felt by a lot of companies, so quite a bit of work there going on. Also, you mentioned resignations. I think all of us have been caught by this sudden space. They call it the Great Resignation. I think the treasuries have not been immune to this, and that has meant that Excel sheets that have remained with some people, the knowledge is stored there, and when they leave, in spite of your best efforts, the handing over can only be so much. And when the next person takes over, the new set of Excel sheets start. That has been the experience with the corporates. So a standard system that is sort of not very dependent on the people also becomes very important. When one person leaves, the others can just very, very smoothly get into a standard, fixed template kind of working with an enterprise grade software. You mentioned liquidity. See, the volatility, we all expect that one time, there might be volatility. We are all afraid. It's been happened before. The ability to manage volatility has become extremely important. To anticipate and manage volatility has become very important. A lot of corporates have become conscious to it. And that means keeping your data clean. You need to have full visibility to your data. Data has to be accurate and data has to be timely. You need to have current data with you at all times. A company with, let's say, a large exposure, a little bit, let's say a 5% difference in the exposure that they have in their Excel sheets or in their regular reports can make such a big difference when the market moves adversely. Suddenly they get hit with a large P&L, unexpected P&L, and so on. So I think companies are becoming a little more conscious and careful about these things. I think that is a trend that we are able to see from a technology provider point of view.
Yeah. Second, my next question to you is: CCL has launched FX retail platform for foreign exchange retail business. Is this a game changer for corporates?
Yeah, I think so. I think the corporates for the first time are able to see the interbank rates. Currently, even with the current market providers, you really don't, corporates don't get to see the real interbank rates. They get to see the customer rates. Here you get to see the rates. It allows corporates to actually do even micro hedging through the platform. They can directly log in, electronically trade, through their existing bankers. They don't have to pay any margins, unlike when they trade with the exchanges. With zero margin, they're able to place their, when I say margin, I mean as a security deposit kind of margin. Without any kind of margins, they're able to place orders. I think very soon it will be possible for them to connect their exposures, the system that does the hedge planning, to trading venues like FX retail, and that will be a big game changer, where people can actually hedge on a micro level, as and when exposures turn up based on their policy, they can quickly hedge. I think it will almost go on autopilot as days go by. I think therefore it is a game changer.
Yeah, traders and whether it's a corporate treasurer or bank treasurers, we always require the accuracy of exposure data. I'm sure it is disconnected with the exposure of data in ERP and data to hedge spreadsheet. That is a challenge. How the technology can help on this?
Okay, I can tell you in a few cases, quite a few cases where we did this, where we worked with corporates and then connected their actual hedges to the ERP data in real time. The first reaction of most corporates was one of surprise, and they said, "Wow, did we miss so much of exposures? Or how was it that we have the exposures in the Excel sheet that are quite different from that are actually there in the ERP?" There are some reasons to this. One, any advances that you receive or pay, any payments that have come and gone, generally do not get adjusted in your spreadsheet in a timely manner. They get adjusted a little late. The exposures are usually off by that amount. Secondly, minor currencies don't make it at times, because of the pain involved in physically transferring it from the ERP to the spreadsheet. People generally focus on the larger exposures, on the major currencies. So the smaller exposures, the smaller currencies generally get left out. And if you add all that up, it adds up to quite a bit. And therefore, there is a disconnect, like you say, between the exposures that resides in the ERP and the exposure that is there in their spreadsheet that they use for hedging. And if you're able to connect the two, I think this disconnect completely goes away. And this is a very important step, first step for them to get actual sanitized data, which then becomes a building block for them to do data-driven analytics, data-driven decisions. All that is premised on the availability of quality data. And therefore, it is important to get the data first and then move into analytics or anything else in treasury.
The next question is that, hedge accounting, as 109 standards being adopted mostly by listed companies, do you see companies face challenges in this regard, and how your system can help to overcome this?
India is 109. A lot of companies, particularly listed companies, are now are looking at it seriously. A lot of them already adopted, and it is a little painful to do this manually. I think it's also because it's easy to be misused. Therefore, the standards are very, very stiff on what qualifies to be eligible for hedge accounting, and those stiff standards mean quite a bit of work. And one of that is, preparation of hedge documentation, giving retrospective testing, your prospective testing, being able to convince your auditors that it's actually a genuine hedge, and you've only taken to reserve what you ought to have taken, and particularly in cash flow hedging. And therefore, it's quite a bit of a manual work. It's very painful. I think it's impossible to do it without a good system in many cases, and therefore we see many corporates recognizing this, particularly those with the off-balance sheet exposures.
Many treasuries have started adopting adopting the technology. Many have resistance still. What, in your opinion, both things drives them? Why they are resisting and few are adopting?
I think a lot of people think that what they currently have is good enough, and therefore a proper treasury system is only a nice to have. They don't see this as something that is important. On the contrary, when we actually do this implementation, we find such a big difference in the before and after picture. One, the data is there, sanitized data is there in place, it is timely, it is accurate. And therefore, on top of it, you can build a lot of analytics. You can do data-driven decisions. For example, you ask a lot of corporates, they would say, my hedge policy is to hedge 70% or 80%. And why is it 70%? Why is it 80%? Not many people have a proper analysis to that. It's usually that it was told to them a few years ago, and therefore they're just continuing down that path. And therefore, having good data is a starting point to get the whole thing in place, to get into analytics, to also reduce operational risk and to improve governance. I think companies that do, let's say, 200 million, 300 million of exposures can't afford to have these exposures managed from spreadsheets. I think there's even a governance issue. And therefore, it's not just good to have. I think people are realizing that they need to at least get the basic hygiene of a proper system of the treasury side in place. And therefore, that is driving them. Also, the other factors like work from home, the COVID situation, the resignations that are happening now, even the corporate treasury side, I think all of this is driving those.
Yes, I can't disagree with this. The just morning I was talking to one of my clients that I was telling him that and strongly advocating to have a system. I was telling him an exposure about $300, $400 million. A price saved is 30 to 40 lakhs. And to get the data and keep it in mind and all these things, which 10 years or 5-6 years back, I was not agreeing to the technology. Why you needed technology for simple management of the positions? But things have changed. Volatility is increased. Indian rupee has become almost global. I have realized that without technology, it's very, very difficult, very challenging to run the treasury. The last question is that after logarithm trading, the artificial intelligence, machines talking, technology taking over, is treasurer or dealer expertise and experience is required, or it is a combination of experience and expertise and treasury management system and fintech going to be the future?
No, I think it's going to be a combination of the two. I think what is the kind of risk appetite that a corporate is willing to take, and why, and when do they want to start recognizing exposure and why? These are things that only comes from experience, from the expertise that people have. But once that directional aspects are taken care of, then the execution and the fine-tuning of that execution can easily be done with machine. There you have AI and ML. We are already working on it. I think a lot of people will be coming out with solutions on this area. That will make life a lot simpler. Will recognize some patterns for you. Will execute at the right moment, at the right time, at the right price. All that I think is possible. But the directional setting, I think, still has to come from the gut. What is your risk appetite? What is the risk appetite that a company has, and how much are they willing to stake for this? Do they want the treasury to return some profits, or do they just want it to be just a hedging kind of an operation? These are decisions that have to come from the gut, from experience. I think there's no way doing away with it, and that will continue to be something that comes from expertise. So the combination of the two, I think, is how it will probably proceed.
Thanks, Kathir. That means there is a place for us, experience and the expertise. With this, thank you very much for this covering in a short time about hedging, digitalization and technology.